journeys to the draft. Let's get into a fun game we play during draft season called Ask Field. Self-explanatory. Tim Hasselbeck, kick us off.
Field, it seems like every year, there's a team that surprises us that drafts a quarterback. Who is that team going to be this year?
I guess there isn't really a totally perfect answer here for a team. Hey, there we go. I was just trying to find my camera right there. So the Rams could be a team that could make take a quarterback there at some point. But the Cleveland Browns are a team that I think hasn't been discussed as much in the Ty Simpson of it all, right? They own pick 6 and 24. I know Mel would say, you're crazy. They've got Shedeur Sanders. They also have at least some level of expectation that Deshaun Watson could compete for that starting job this year, plus Dylan Gabriel. But I would not be surprised if Cleveland goes shopping once again at the quarterback market. New offensive-minded head coach in Todd Monken. We'll see how things shake out. But Cleveland is a team that I have earmarked who has at least been studying quarterbacks throughout this past college football season.
Field, I have one for you. Often questions in this draft and topics are about the lack of clear blue-chip talent.
Yeah.
Teams in the top 10 who want to trade out. You need a dance partner.
Sure do.
Who realistically could we see make a splash Thursday night opening of the draft and trade into the top 10?
Well, I want to give a team that doesn't get much attention on our network some shine. It's the Dallas Cowboys, who own, of course, picks 12 and 20 in this year's first round. And if there is a scenario in which some of these top edge rushers are flying off the board early, the Dallas Cowboys might be sitting there at pick 12 and saying, we need to get one of those guys. What the Cowboys want to see is players like Francis Mauigoa and Spencer Fano, offensive linemen, going early in the order, because that pushes down some of these great edge rushers. They need to continue to add juice there, and there is, to me, a little bit of a gap that could occur prior to the Cowboys getting on the clock at number 12. So while the team has already moved some capital around to acquire a player like Rashawn Gary, 12 and 20 gives you some flexibility to move up if you'd like.
And a new defensive coordinator getting the keys in Dallas. You wonder how much autonomy he'll have in the room. You're the man affectionately known as Mel Kiper Jr.
Correct.
Let's go to Mel Kiper Jr. Sr. for one more Ask Field.
Young fielding. The Saints have a franchise quarterback, it looks like, in Tyler Shuck, but a major needed wide receiver. No wide out at 8, no wide out even in the early second round. Explain.
First of all, Mel, I'm following your lead here. You got to take the players that are in line with where your board has them. So I give him Ruben Bain Jr. because they do need a pass rusher. We'll see what happens with Cam Jordan. But as of right now, not under contract for next year. They need players to continue to build out that edge rushing group. Beyond that, as you know, Mel, deepest position in the draft, what? Wide receiver. I've got 42. That's right, 42 wide receivers with a draftable grade in this upcoming class. The Saints may not necessarily need to poach one in the top 42 selections. That's their first and second round pick as of right now, because they can get a good player at the top of round 3 or even somewhere going into day 3. Wide receiver and tight end this year are like running back and defensive tackle last year.
You have Carnell Tate going inside that Saints first selection. If he slips down to 8, we'll see if the calculus changes. That's what's so interesting about this draft season. Still to come, Tate, part of a thick crop of NFL talent in Columbus. Ohio State holds its pro day tomorrow. Tim reveals which Buckeye he's eyeing and why teams PN app. A whole bunch of NFL scouts have aviation itineraries to Columbus for tomorrow. The Woody Hayes Athletic Center plays host to Ohio State's pro day. Close to 20 now former Buckeyes expected to participate, including several we should hear early on night 1 of the draft. Ohio State has 5 players in Fields' latest 2-round mock draft, including 4 straight picks from number 3 to number 6 overall. No school's ever had 4 players go in the top 6 of a single draft, and certainly not 3 of 4 from the same side of the ball. In fact, only one school has had 4 players go top 10 in the same draft. It was the first year of the common draft, Michigan State, back in 1967. Mel Kiper, we don't need breakdowns of Bubba Smith and Gene Washington, though I suspect those are very much in your bag. What do you make of Fields' mock having 4 Buckeyes in a row?
Makes sense. They're all deserving of being up that high. And Sonny Styles is a red-hot prospect right now. He's basically in the clubhouse for all he's done and all he's accomplished. The former safety had 13 more tackles, and Arvell Reese was in the mix to maybe be the second pick overall. Sonny Styles, like I say, is a guy who's going to hear his name called very early, cut down dramatically on the missed tackles. Caden McDonald, I have a 21 on my big board. Fields got him early second round to the Raiders. This kid is a rare talent when you talk about a man inside who can free up those linebackers, stuff the run, and I think gets enough penetration in the backfield to get maybe a few sacks every year as well. So Caden McDonald, to me, is maybe the underrated of that Ohio State group of outstanding prospects.
Yeah, you don't fault guys for losing him in the shuffle with all that talent elsewhere across that defense could be 3 guys in the top 6 just on that side of the ball, Tim. Which of those Ohio State guys jump out most to you?
Yeah, Caleb Downs is interesting to me. I think in this era of football, which is, change. I mean, most defenses are in some form of nickel, as their starting defense. And so, guys that have versatility. And so, Downs as a guy that's a safety, who knows how he'll be used. Will he be used as a slot defender the way the Ravens have used a guy like Kyle Hamilton? They're not built the same, but because of Downs' ability to cover and ball skills, I think that it's, it'd be a unique opportunity. Often guys, are asked to blitz a bunch coming off of the edge. And so I just think that when you look at the value of guys that are, the third corner or, the third safety or a safety that can be moved around, the versatility is what matters so much in the National Football League because quite frankly, just the matchups that get created with the guys that get moved inside. And so if you're a guy that can cover, can tackle, can blitz, you obviously can have a big impact on a football game.
Tim, you're right. Caleb Downs is a heck of a football player. Remember Kyle Hamilton when he came out of Notre Dame? We thought he's guaranteed to go very high. I remember he visited the Ravens, and John Harbaugh said, "Why are you here? Why are you here? We're not going to see you on the board, in the middle of the first round area." And he ended up dropping down to the Ravens. Where does Caleb Downs come off the board? Could you see him down to the Bengals at 10 or maybe a little thereafter for a guy who's one of the best players in this draft? So it's going to be interesting to see that safety, Caleb Downs, who's so versatile. Do teams learn from what happened with Kyle Hamilton, or does he drop down around that area of 10 to 12?
Well, Field has him going to Coach Harbaugh, and the Giants at 5 overall would be the highest that a safety has gone since Eric Berry back in 2010. We do have time for one more thing before we go. A guy who's turning 49 before week 1 of the NFL season kicks off, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., back in action. And Tim Hasselbeck, look at those moves, evading the rush. Who's talking the GOAT back into playing in the NFL again?
I'm not surprised that he threw an accurate pass and that it was down the field. It's the movement that's surprising. I mean, let's be honest. I understand he's not going to get tackled, but what was his big thing? Pliability? That's what he was focusing on because that's pretty good right there. My only thing is, it's not really football. It's if I don't know, if Tiger Woods were going to play tonight Frisbee golf, would we think that would be good? It's not the same. It's not really football.
Hey, pass rush is pass rush, and that guy who was coming at his hips, half his age. But as they say, class is permanent. Always classy. Mel Kiper, Tim Hasselbeck, and Field Yates. I'm Phil Murphy. Thanks for hanging out with us.
It has all come down to this. Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, the SoFi Center.